Assalamualaikum and hello. My name is ALYA binti Muhammad Noor. In this video, my partner FARAH and I will present LAB2. So let's start with question 1. So as usual, before we start with our program, we have to copy the original template and rename, open Visual Studio Code, and set save SEH to no. And then we can type the code. So here, we press start without debugging. Here, it appears one succeeded. So we can proceed with step over. So press F10. It will pop up like this. And then press F10 once again. So this arrow will indicate that we will execute the line by line. So let's execute line 1. Before that, in watch 1, we can enter AX, BX, and also memory variable, which is bar 1 and bar 2, to watch the content in it. Okay. So as initially, the value of bar 1 is 1 and bar 2 is 9. So we already execute line 1, AX become 1. As we store, we move the value bar 1 into register AX. And then we execute line 2. In line 2, we move the value of bar 2 into register BX. Line 3, we exchange the value of register AX and BX, which means in AX it becomes 9, in BX it becomes 1. It exchange the value with each other. Next, in line 4, we move the value of AX, which is 9 just now, into memory variable bar 1. So lastly, we move the value of BX, which is 1 in decimal, into memory variable bar 2. So we can observe the value in BX here in register tab, which is 0001. So this is the end of question 1. Thank you. So let's move on to question 2. After we type the code, and then we press type without debugging. After that, once succeeded appeared, we can proceed with stepping over. So press F10. And this will appear. So let's execute line 1. Press F10. In line 1, we move the value of xval, which is 26, into register EAX. We can observe the value in register EAX here, which is 26. Next, press F10 again. We execute line 2. We negate the value of EAX. Just now 26, and now it becomes negative 26 in decimal. We can watch the value in hexadecimal here. And then we execute line 3. In line 3, we move the value of Y val, which is 30, into register EBX. In watch tab, we can observe the value in EBX, which is, we execute line 4. Here, we subtract Z val, which is 40, from the content of EBX and store it in the register EBX. So in the register EBX, now it is negative 10 in decimal. So in line 5, we add the content of EAX and EBX and store the value in the register EAX. So now 40. So now the content of EAX is negative 36 in decimal. So now we execute line 6. Line 6, we just increase the value of EAX by 1. So lastly, we execute the last line. Last line, we move the value of EAX, which is negative 35 in decimal, into the memory variable rval. So we can watch here, rval is now negative 35. So that's all for question 2.
Okay, so we're moving on to question 3 for LAB2. And so here I've pasted the coding, the exact coding, into the main.asm. Now we'll try to start without debugging. Okay, so as you can see here, it says 1 succeeded. Okay. So next we want to execute. We have to go to step over so that we can execute line by line. So step over. Okay, and then these 3 windows will pop up. Okay, this one. Okay, so we this is for the watch window. You can type the value that we want, the variable that we want, so that we can see the value that is stored into the variable. Okay, and then another one. Oops. And then we can also add var1 and var2. Okay, and var3. So as you can see, for EBX, it is this value because it's not executed yet. So okay, so to execute line by line, we have to start over F10. Okay, so here we can see for line 1, it says that it moves the value of var1 into register EAX. So you can see here that var1 is 5 and now EAX is 5. And then next, we can also see here in the register that EAX is 5. And then we move on to line 2. it says here to multiply var2. So you can see here that var2 is 10. And then next for for line 3, is here it adds var3 into the register EAX. So var3 is 20. So just now EAX was 5, and it adds 20, which is supposed to be 25, and but you can see here that EAX is 00046. And then next we decrease EAX. So here EAX decreases by 1, so it turns into 000000545. And then next, or just now it was 70, but now it's 69. And then next, so for this one, it move EAX to var4. So var4 right now is also 69. And yeah, that's the execution line by line for question 3. Okay, moving on to question 4, LAB2. So this is the coding for question 4. Now we'll try to start without debugging. Okay, so after we start without debugging, so we need to make sure that it says 1 succeeded. And then after that, we go to step over. And this windows will pop up. And then we in window watch 1, we can type variables that we want, so we can see the value inside it. So for this one, we can go with AX, and then BX, and we can try to see. We'll also try with the var1, var2, var3, var4. Oh, sorry, var3, there's no var3. Okay, so var4. Okay. So as you can see, var1 is 40 and var2 is 10, and then var4 is 0. So okay, we'll execute line by line. Okay, so for line 1, it moves the value of var1 into AX. So as you can see here, AX is 40. Okay, and then for line 2, it assigned the value of 5 into BX. So now BX is 5. And for line 3, it multiplied BX. And then for line 4, it moved the value of var2 into BX. So the var2 was 10. Now BX is 10. And then for line 5, it subtract the value of 3 from bx. So bx was 10. Subtract with 3 equals to 7, which is the value it is now. And then it says divide bx. So this is it divide the bx value. And then for the last line, line 7, it moved the value of ax into var 4. So ax is 28, and now you can see that var 4 is also 28. And that concludes the question, the coding for question 4 LAB2. So we're moving on to question 5.
Moving on to question 5, we have to write an assembly program that will implement the expressions A equal to B plus C times D minus E. So here, we write the code. First of all, we have to initialize the memory variable val A until E. And then we start to write the code. So first of all, we have to move the content of val B, which is 12, into AX register. Let's execute this line. And then we add val C, which is 4, to AX register, which is 12, is equal to 16. Let's execute this line. So in AX now, we have value 16 in decimal. Next, we move var D, which is 20, into BX register. Step 4, we subtract var E, which is 10, from var D, 20, and equal to 10. Store it in the BX register. So in the watch windows, we can see BX now is 10. Next, we multiply BX with 10, the value 10. Multiply BX and AX. AX, the value is 16. And 10 multiplied 16 equal to 160, and store in AX. So in AX here, we have 160. So lastly, we store the value AX in val A. So in val A, we have 160. That's all for question 5. Thank you.
Okay, so lastly is the question 6 of LAB2. So here is the coding that I've done for the question that it gave. So for the question, it told us to find A, which the formula is B divide by C and then multiply with D. So we'll see. So for this one, I already start without debugging, and it has one succeeded. So let's move on to step over. Okay, so here we can wait. Okay, so as shown, we've passed through the debug process, and now we're on to executing line by line. So from here, let's start with line 1. For line 1, it assigned the value 0 to dx. And then, so you can see that dx is 0. And then, on line 2, it assigned the value val B into AX register. So val B is 12. So now AX is also 12. Next, on line 3, it assigned the value val C into BX. So val C is 4 and now BX is also 4. For this line 4, it does the division for Vx. And then for line 5, it does the multiplication for var D. And lastly, for line 6, it moves the value of AX into val A. So if we were to do this, we'll get the answer 60, which is shown here. Val A and also AX equals to 60. So that's the answer for question 6, lab 2.